We are live, as
Are we
promised.
are we live? Hello
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah,
If you're there,
yeah. Well, I think having one of us visible might help.
you think
At
so?
least, at least for the first part of
Or
the show.
we can do the whole program just watching the pouring coffee.
I'm having all types of computer problems this morning. I can't hear myself in the mic. I love listening to my own voice in the mic. I love my own voice, and so I can't hear myself in the mic. But
I could do two cartoon heads. We can put it on both sides of that cup.
yeah, yeah, we can.
That would be funny.
Yeah,
Maybe we can jiggle them around like what's his name, Geeky Girl Sparkles or whatever the clownfish idiots guys do. Sorry. The guy's cool, but the girl, man, she's like running nails down the chalkboard for me. Her voice is so crazy, stupid. Anyway. Oh, we're live, aren't we? Sorry. That clownfish TV, that's great. They're great stuff. Anyway,
Standards of practice will be calling you very soon, sir.
let's
Um,
let's pop this up just to save us any hassle.
mhm.
This podcast will be rated TVMA DLSV, where the V stands for violins.
We got a lot to talk about.
Lots to talk about.
A lot of stuff happening in
It's been
indie
a
comics.
crazy couple days, and you've been barraged with emails. You told me.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Emails and questions and new things are coming to light.
We
Yeah,
love
kids.
questions.
Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna jump right into that stuff. Also, we're gonna talk a little bit about the Buzz Box, what's going in it, and yeah, I think we're in for a treat this Thursday morning, Randy.
Should be a good one.
So I'm gonna roll the intro and we can get right to it. Thanks for joining us here. Thanks for joining us on IndieVolt Radio. All 204 of you currently.
Just to
Uh,
start, tell your friends. You and
that's
Indie
right.
Volt Radio Land.
That's right.
We're
Tell them
we're
to come
kicking
on
it.
over.
We're kicking it out this morning.
Now, all right, we're gonna hit that intro and we will catch you on the other side of it.
Hang on.
Everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
You seem to be having some technical difficulties this morning.
Oh yes, I am. Yes, I am. Camera's not working right. Microphone is working. Very half-assed. Um,
You just don't want us to see your face because we all know because of the Geekgasm program last night and Tuesday's programming, you and Lola have both been drinking heavily.
she didn't have to drink last night. She was very happy about that.
Actually, I thought she sounded a little depressed that nobody tipped her. I got drinks lined up here. Nobody's tipped me. Good morning, Trico. How you doing, bud?
Trico, Professor Trico in the house. Good morning,
Professor.
Trico.
Yep.
Professor.
We just call you Professor from now
Yeah. Good morning, Professor. Um, yeah, Randy, so
sir.
much happening this week. Uh,
Isn't this a wonderful art form to be in? This thing they call comics, sequential art.
yeah,
Is it petty emo BS? Advice for the lovelorn?
a couple of them. I mean,
Somebody close to divorce? Any marriages that we can gracefully save? I am a reverend,
yeah, I mean,
so I can definitely counsel people.
I guess we want to let's jump into
We probably should introduce ourselves first, just in
yeah,
case there's somebody out there who hasn't listened to us before.
someone who hasn't listened to us. Oh my goodness, who are these people?
Uh,
Uh, I know of no one who
wouldn't
doesn't
they?
know who we are.
Wouldn't they be newbies? I know of everybody who doesn't know who we are. Not everybody, but almost everybody has never heard of us before. So, go ahead.
Well, hello everyone out there. My name is Varian Grant, aka Septimius Service, and Severus, and I am the co-founder, co-owner of Last Call Comics. Been so for the last 8 years. First book I put out was a black and white uh, action comedy called Psycho Sirens. I am a father, a husband, a geek, a creator, and a reluctant taxpayer. not in that order. And you are watching the Indie Vault Breakfast Buzz. I am here with Mr. Randy Zimm.
Hey everybody! Actually, you're watching technical difficulties
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
You're the technical difficulties panel of this. I'm Randy Zimmerman. I've been doing alternative and independent comics for many years, mostly in the Midwest area. I've printed under the Arrow, the Weeby, the Massive Comics brand for the last 10 years. I printed my own. I don't have an example of it handy right here, but printed my own little newspaper that we circulated around the Genesee County and Flint area called Flint Comics. We went through 10,000 copies every month, and it really reinvigorated my love for this art form, the sequential art form. And then we had to stop because of the advertiser situation. We were advertiser supported, so we gave it away for free. Had red boxes, free red boxes all over the county. You just walk up, reach in, grab a funny paper once a month. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to do. It was definitely a labor of love, especially towards the end when it started really tapping into my savings account and I had to stop it. But other than that, I am an award-winning commercial and graphic artist. Most of the work that I do now is sequential art related for advertising. And in fact, I should have a 2-page ad coming out here pretty soon in My City magazine that I did up. That was it was labor intensive, but it ought to look really good. Really happy with the way that looked. Other than that, I do the Zimm Geek channel on YouTube whenever I can cut the time to put up a video, which has been a couple of months. And I'm currently working on my own crowdfunding book that hopefully you'll hear about here in a couple of months as soon as I get enough of it done that I'm confident enough that I will. Uh, I won't be like some of these crowdfunders where you're waiting a year in order to get your product after you
Mm.
buy into it. So, but I'm eager to get it out there because it's that also is something that's near and dear to my heart and something I really want to get out in front of people. So
Yeah.
anyway, in the house, Trico M3SOZ is there. Says I've never heard of you.
Yeah, yeah. He's never heard. No one's
Yeah,
ever
yeah, I come
heard.
out. I come here out of habit. Yeah, but that's not surprising.
Yeah.
M3. We're told that we're funny, but I think it's the funny in the wrong way. Not anyway. Time for some breakfast buzz before morning snow shoveling. Hopefully you don't have much snow down there, Ralph. I know you're in around the Detroit area. Up here in Flint, we barely have an inch. Though I've heard the plow trucks go by for some reason, which is like, dude, that's only an inch. And of course, the wonderful Chris Evans says hello, everybody.
Hello, hello, hello to everyone in the chat. Randy,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna put up our first question. I've selected it. The
Okay.
first question. I'm not sure if the well, I'll put up the artist question. The artist sent us in a very heartfelt question. Let me bring this up.
I like heartfelt questions as long as they
Yeah.
don't involve secretions. It's all good. Do you guys ever feel drained after completing a comic book page? I was inspired to jump
There you go.
back
More
in.
secretions.
Oh, feeling drained?
Yeah.
I was inspired to jump back in after getting my copy of EVS's Cyber Frog, and each page of that book artistically seems like EVS left a piece of his soul on it. I'm trying to do the same, but I feel so damn tired afterwards. Is this normal? Thanks, Brian Green. Brian Green, if you're getting back into it, then you're just a little out of practice. You need to start stretching those muscles a little harder and get into a. My big thing is trying to get myself into a daily routine because I have a wife that works 8-hour job and her hours keep shifting and so my hours keep shifting and it's real easy to feel incredibly drained. But putting yourself into a page, that's just part of art, man. That's part of the joy and the fun and the adrenaline and. Make little small goals so that you don't feel totally, completely washed out to the point where you want to give up and just pace yourself. This is a marathon, not a sprint, especially if you're doing a large graphic novel. So it's not something that you can just get done. And I'm going through the same thing you're going through right now, Brian. This is not the kind of thing that you can boom, 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 and bang it out. Even EVS took, what was it, a year, 10 months to do Cyberfrog, and that's because all of the money that came in really overwhelmed him, where he realized that he had to do literally the best book that he has ever done and that he is capable of doing. So, and that's what he ended up doing. Excuse me for a second while I mute the mic.
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't want to cough on camera. We need to come up with some like duck sound effects or something. Anyway, um, like I said, Brian, pace yourself. That is normal, especially if you're not used to doing it for a while. And it takes a lot to push that pencil, push that stylus around, depending upon how you're working. So, especially all that brain power. But it's good that you're back at it. It's good that you're stretching those muscles again. I hope artistically you are pouring your soul into your work, because this is a an amazing art form that deserves everyone's care, love, and attention, despite what you see in these freaking mainstream books right now.
and let me say that I have, like, when I'm drawing, there are times where I have to step away from the page. It does sometimes feel like, okay, I've been working on this page for too long. If you start to feel that way, take a step back. Take a break. It's very important to take a break.
This
Um,
comes in handy. Get yourself one of these little egg timers.
yeah,
Stand up every hour. Stretch
hmm
out. You know.
and there are times where you can put a lot of your time into a page, and I think that's why you feel so attached to it, and you feel so drained because you put a lot of your energy and your a lot of thought goes into making that page what you want it to be.
And thought is
Uh,
energy. Thought is energy.
so you could be feeling, you could actually feel drained, and so that we'll say this: nothing's wrong with you, Brian. You're completely normal. And send us some pages. Let us see that book. Let's see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Sounds like you said you got back, you got inspired to jump back in. So please send us some pages over. Let us take a look at it. And remember this: don't let anybody talk you into trying to knock the book out faster than what you wanted. Um,
Yeah. Do your best, especially if you want this to shine.
yeah, don't be one of these people who try to knock a book out, every month or whatever, just to get uh you know try to get some money. That's you're gonna dry up your audience real quick doing that, so take time.
And now, especially with the graphic novel format, you're
Hmm.
allowed to take your time.
Yeah.
Nobody's expecting a monthly performance out of you. But definitely make goals for yourself, especially if you want to get the book done in a timely manner.
Make those goals realistic, though.
Very realistic. You might even break it down to panel by panel if you have to,
Hmm.
depending upon how you work. Like sometimes I'm working, the book I'm working on now, I'm working in like 6 to 10 page chunks, and then once that's done, then you go up to the next chunk. But it's I'm able to break it down into different parts too.
Hmm.
But depending upon how you work, and again, you're just getting back into this. So figure out your schedule again. Yes, you're going to get a little bit more tired. You're not as young as you used to be, buddy. And just though I don't know how old you are, get yourself a good vitamin regimen. Watch those monster drinks and your caffeine intake, and do your best, man. Good luck. Good luck.
Ralph Griffith says, and try some meditation or exercise to get a boost.
Always helpful. Yep.
uh
Eating right, it's a good thing.
the end of the advocating channel says, good morning, gents. Good morning. And M3SOZ says, never put your heart and soul in your work, because if it is not well received, you be very hurt.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true, M3, because you want to do your best. And even if it doesn't make it, then you'll know that at least you did your best. You're not going to sit here and go, "Oh, thank goodness I didn't pour my heart and soul into that because everybody hated that piece of shit." You know, but if you look back on it 6 months, 3 years, or whatever, and you go, at the time I did my best, but looking back on it, I can do better. That's all part of being an artist.
Yeah.
All part of growing and making a better product than the previous one. And if you are an artist, that's exactly what you're trying to do.
The indie devil Rob Anderson has joined us. Hello, Rob.
Hey, Rob,
Good morning, gentlemen.
we're all going without cameras. I can do that.
We have Rob
Only
joined us because
only my bullet is cooler. Anyway,
um, yeah, Rob, is it the same for writers? Do you ever do a page of writing and you feel like, oh man, I need to take a break. I feel drained.
I don't know if I feel drained. Will Eisner had said it in one of his books that after a heavy project, he liked to do kind of a softer project. And I think
Hmm.
as a writer, that's kind of how I feel about it.
oh
You
yeah,
know, I'll write a very dark thing, and then I'll write a story. And this is why I'm coming up with a short book of short stories this year. Is that sometimes after I've written something and I feel like, a little like taken back by it, or even just dealing with stuff on social media, being with the indieadvocates.com. Sometimes I need to step away and just create something completely different. Or sometimes it's even as a writer how I deal with life when something shitty happens. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
go.
We're
Yeah.
TVMA. Yeah, you're all
Okay.
right, Rob.
Sometimes after something that's gone on, I like when my car was broken into recently, I made a short story about it to deal with it. And as a writer, I think that we're expressive that way. And I'm not sure about being an artist, but just as me as a writer, I feel like I express myself a lot when I'm dealing with something written better than I do out loud.
Mhm.
So if I have a conversation with you, it'll be filthy with a lot of curses, and I'll talk about how I want to beat the guy up. But if I can sit down and write a story, I think I can work it out better because I think there's a little bit of ego with when we're talking with our mouth, and there's less ego when we're writing as writers because writing's a craft and telling people a story is just ego. So it's not easy though. This stuff does take a toll on you emotionally sometimes. I've written things and it's caused me to go into depression, and
Mhm.
I've had to deal with depression for a couple days because it was hard. What I'd written was very deep to me, and it triggered me to go into a. And I hate to say triggered because I know there's so many people out there that use it wrong, but it is true.
Triggers a trigger word.
Yes. Yes, but in all honesty, it does. It puts you in, and I'm sure it's the same with artists. I'm sure you put everything on a page, you do a best job ever, and you look at that page and you go, "How can I ever do this again?"
Mhm.
And that's got to be horrible. And
I, I've stepped away from pages because it took a while to do, but I don't think that I ever uh thought myself getting depressed from a page. But I imagine writing the story, writing certain themes, and writing certain scenarios that go on in stories would probably cause me to fall into some type of depressive state. M3SOZ says your best isn't necessarily heart and soul; it's just skill and effort.
That's debatable.
Ralph says, and surround yourself with creative folks and try to avoid negative Nancy's. Larry's in the chat. Word up, homies.
Hey, Larry.
Professor Trico says, when I did freelance writing, get drained the hell out of me. I locked myself in my office and not come out until I had a 24-page issue written. Also, didn't help that it was usually a Sunday when I had to email a script to the client on Monday. Oh, I'm hearing some repeating. Is that
oh, that
me?
was me. I'm
Okay.
sharing
Uh,
you guys on Indie Advocates, so I need.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Sometimes your best, most creative efforts though come at when you're staring a deadline in the face.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Brian, I hope that helps with, like I said, make sure you get some pictures of that artwork. We like to see it. Um,
watch your health. Don't drain yourself too far. Don't go into exhaustion when that headache pops up. There are times. The older I get, the more I believe in quality time. I can get
mhm,
more done in front of the board, like early in the morning before noon sometimes than I do an entire day because I'm more vigorated. I have more energy then, and I'm able to concentrate longer than at night when I'm struggling just to stay awake.
mhm.
Arlo, thanks for writing in, Arlo. Salutations from Australia. Well, especially now. Salutations, Arlo. I like the concept of that Motor City Mo book. As a 15-year-old dag, I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure what that lingo would be. What is that short for?
I looked it up because I had to figure out.
Okay.
It means geek.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Other cultures, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
We're here to educate. That's cool. As a 15-year-old dag, do you know if it's right? My aunt cracks the shits at posters of models in bathers on my wall. I love you, Arlo. You're cool. You can write into us anytime. I love the vernacular. Because she thinks they are slappas That must be slappers. I'm having a naughty flog at. How cool. Don't want her ripping up a book from the U.S. that cost me between a lobster or a pine to get. Arlo. Yeah, Arlo, you have to be careful around the olders, you know.
um, I would say
It's so easy for parents and grandparents to jump to the wrong conclusion and, oh, why are you reading this porn?
I'll ask Kyle and the rest of the team over there, Three Wise Men, if that book is okay for a 15-year-old. If not, Arlo, you might want to pick up Barbara Unleashed. It is fine.
No, 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 no.
I don't know how a book that has a stripper on a pole on the cover would be, family friendly or 15-year-old oriented. But I think Arlo, I think your red flags are good. So if you think
um,
that you're getting in trouble for having it, don't have it. I was beaten plenty when I was younger for having the wrong material in the house. So you don't want to do it.
yeah, I thought
That's what
that
libraries are for, buddy.
I thought that one was great, so I had to have it up there.
That the
Um,
the whole writing on it was awesome.
yeah,
I,
he's
I love slang. It's all good.
no, so we're gonna go to this question here. I'll put it up, and this is one of the reasons that Rob has joined us.
Either that Arlo or wrap that book inside of a Walt Disney Comics and Stories. That always seems to work.
Yeah, nobody expects Disney to be to be
Yeah.
let's see here real quick. Yeah, Ralph says sometimes I find going to the library sometimes help me concentrate when writing. Uh, Ted Davies says good morning. Hey, good morning, Ted. Trico says naughty flog is my new favorite term.
There we go. Yeah.
Barbara unleashes the naughtiest of flogs. And Eric says hello world. Hello, Eric.
Hello, Eric. How you doing, bud?
So we're gonna jump
I
to
do.
one.
I am working. I have a character in my new book called Flog.
Yeah, you do. That's right. Yeah, flog the dolphin.
I do.
Yeah. So here's one of the reasons why Rob joined us. This question here, Randy, go ahead and read that.
AB. Thanks for writing, AB. Did you guys hear about what happened with Short Fuse Media Comics? People have been left with no books and unpaid invoices. There's a story on Short Fuse separating from Alpha Dog Studios on IndieVolt.com. Are you guys going to follow up with this new info? I read that the owner left one of his creators, Dorfis, homeless and broke. AB. You should probably take that, Varian.
Uh, I don't know, and I'll have to talk to Dorothy's. I could probably get her in the chat here. I'm not sure if he left. I mean, Dorothy's be the best to tell us if she was actually left homeless and broke. I know there was from talking to Dorothy's, she did she says that um she didn't get payments for her book, Spirit's Destiny. Um,
But how bad that left her,
yeah,
we're not sure.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's something. Before you go on, that's something that happens so often in this community. It's so easy to become like a gossip circle, and
Mhm.
the news gets worse and worse and worse and worse as it goes from person to person to person. So you really have to be careful about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and I would say I've heard from talking to people since this news broke about people not getting books and people not being paid. Excuse me. That I've heard that Sean, who I spoke to because we both we both live in Michigan. I'm not sure he's here anymore. I believe he moved to Atlanta. Um, that he had I understand that he's had some family issues or some health issues, which is why people aren't getting their books, and he may have not left the company in the most capable hands. Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's the truth and what's not. We're gonna keep investigating to see if we can find out what's going on. I hate to find. I mean, the thing is, if people aren't getting their books and they paid for them, they should get those books or they should get a refund. Bottom line.
Absolutely.
If you've requested a refund and you haven't gotten it, and you feel that the company is responding, then you could probably go to Kickstarter or Indiegogo, whoever you crowdfunded through, or even your credit card company if you feel that you if you feel there's no way you're going to get the product.
I am jumping to the conclusion here to think that he's on Kickstarter because I believe IndieVolt keeps track of all of the people starting campaigns, and they won't let you start a new one without knowing that the other one was fulfilled,
Yeah.
unless there's special circumstances.
Right, right. Trico says, Rob, you have my permission to use Barber Unleashed is the naughtiest of flogs as a pool quote. And Brian Germain says there's a nice comment on Randy's version of this page if you want to pertain to Brian Green's earlier question. I'll check that out, Brian. So many Brians.
Whose
um
whose version of that page? That's not me,
on
right?
your Facebook. He says
Oh, on
there's
my
yeah,
Facebook.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I will put
Well,
it up. Yeah.
I should jump over there now and take a look. I was neglectful the last couple of shows and not looking on my homepage. So
But I don't know if what's going on in this particular situation. I know some people it runs the gamut of responses. Some people will say, "Well, I seen this coming." Other people are saying, "I can't believe it." Um, it depends on who you ask. Rob, have you ever talked to Sean Mack?
I've had experiences in dealing with him, mostly just on social media. One of the
Hmm.
people who fulfilled our advocate last year, our first issue, the Winter Advocate. So we had professionally dealt with them. So I don't know his circumstance as far as anything that is going, but stop me if I'm wrong. I heard that this was about action figures and not issues.
Yeah,
This
I
was
mean, I've been.
but that's the confusion already. And like Randy was saying, if you're going to make, no, I don't want to say accusations because that
Mhm,
sounds blaming. That sounds like victim blaming. So I'm not going to use accusations. But if you're going to put out a statement,
mhm,
please be precise with what you're saying because it gets muddled.
yeah.
mhm,
And as I read it, and this is how I woke up this morning, and I had a headache when I woke up, so it was not fun to have to read the screen.
mhm,
But from what I understand, this is over action figures. And to
mhm,
Short Fuse's credit, they never launched another Kickstarter after that one because they haven't fulfilled that Kickstarter.
mhm,
There's actually a statement put out by Mike Watson where they take ownership of there being mistakes and that there are problems and that things are happening that are causing issues. And unfortunately, that is life. There and everyone's making the comparison right now. Marcel Dupree and Sean Mack, and I know that you had a funny joke about it actually this morning with
yeah,
me. And you can't compare the two. Marcel Dupree hides behind fake accounts, still blames everyone else, hasn't taken any credit for anything, and continues to launch new Kickstarters. Short Fuse hit the brakes.
yeah,
Hey, something's wrong. We have to step back. We're trying to fix it. That's the official statement. I didn't hear the official statement turn around and go, these creators should not be talking out loud and we should all shun them because how dare they not talk to me? No, they said, I understand the frustration. We're trying to deal with it. We've been in touch with every one of them today about this. We don't have answers today. We're going to try our best to figure out how to go forward. We're not running away from this. We're going to confront this and we're going to fix it. That's what you want to hear.
mhm.
That's the statement. If someone is making a mistake, that's the statement. And I hope that they do fix everything.
We know that. I mean, well, I've seen pictures of produced action figures, so it doesn't seem like someone will make action figures and just not send them out. It seems there's some type of error. And again, like you said, there seems to be a lot of things from some people saying they haven't received books, others saying they haven't received figures, other people now saying they haven't been paid. I don't get it. There's a lot of stuff. I was reading through one of the threads, and just a lot of different information going out there. We might not get down to the bottom of this for maybe by the end of the weekend we'll figure out what's what. But if Sean is sick, we wish him a speedy recovery. I don't want to see anybody being sick at all.
No, no.
So if he's sick, or our family member's sick, wish him a speedy recovery. Um, and Rob, with that said, you do have some news on a little bit more of a heinous situation, I guess. Marcel Dupree, I seen you posted uh, a link this morning where you have confirmed that Marcel is hiding on their fake account.
Yep. It's no everyone. When I announced the news about 2 weeks ago, and everyone said that I was kind of reaching for it,
Mhm.
and I was trying to make it something it wasn't. This is his family member. Don't pick on his family member. And sure enough, he outed himself. And this is a profile. Remember, he got kicked off of Facebook, guys. He didn't leave Facebook. Facebook kicked him off for his unethical practices, as they called it, spamming. So that tells you something. And also, the news broke this week that does pertain to Marcel as well. Not only is he hiding behind something, but I've been saying for weeks that I thought the reason he's been able to survive without social media is because he's using unethical email lists. For those who don't know, an unethical email list is, and as creators, I don't know if you've ever been approached, but I've been on Kickstarter a few times, and I've had people approach me asking to quote unquote share each other's backers list. So the rumors I've heard for the last 2 years, which have been confirmed this week by Kickstarter, is there's a group going around collecting backer reports from all different Kickstarters and making what is considered a mega list. And they sell the mega list to people like Marcel. And of course, I can't confirm or deny the whether this definitely happened, but someone like Marcel who can't use social media, we're just using him as an example for the lawyers listening. He he could buy that list and now circumvent all the negative press about him because he's tapping into other markets of creators that don't know why, but they just figure, hey, I was on Kickstarter. I guess this is from Kickstarter. And then Kickstarter realized that, wait, this isn't us because we're getting put on a spam report. And they just updated their terms of service that if they find out you share your list, you will be banned from Kickstarter. So, I mean, the Kickstarter's sort of catching up. We've been in touch with them about Marcel Dupree. They haven't done anything. Same thing with Facebook. We've told Facebook this was him. And I might report my own thread that I put up today, so Facebook has to look at it and see that we're telling them is true. I don't know if you can report your own thread, but that's where I'm at. Because I don't mind if Marcel Dupree wants to have a conversation. I said since day one, you want to step up and have a conversation. Do press. I didn't care if it was with you. I don't care if it's with John, the guy who just started a show yesterday, and he wants to have Marcel. Do the right thing. Have a conversation and stop blaming everyone else. And I think that's the big difference. Short Fuse is taking ownership. Marcel is making everyone else take ownership of his mistakes.
And I should say also before someone brings it up, full disclosure, I am through my publishing company, Last Call Comics, I am producing Dorfese's next book, publishing her next book, Nia Caller, before someone brings that up. but and they will, because I know how you guys are. Anyway,
Somebody should bring that up.
they will bring it up.
Jump
Just
tracks back for a second and
Sure.
have me read that remark. Brian Germain left a note on my Facebook page. Says, I haven't drawn anything in any major capacity in about 6 years. I'm not sure when or if I will. But what I am doing is helping to produce, publish, edit, write, etc. It helps keep me inspired and keeps me in the business of creating comics. So don't feel you have to quit making comics altogether, even if you step away from the drawing board.
Yeah, there's always something that can be done in comics. Say if you need a break from drawing, maybe try inking. You need a break from that.
Yep.
Try lettering. At the end of it all, you're going to be a more rounded artist and a more educated.
And where there's a will, there's a way. What I really think Brian needs is just to work himself up into a regiment where he's getting back up to constantly, a working schedule on that board whenever he can.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
it'll all come back, and the muscles will stretch again, and he'll be surprised. Soon he'll be looking at the clock, stunned at how fast time goes by. That's why I have to keep the egg timer up there to remind me to get up off of my butt every hour or so and stretch those legs.
Yeah. Since we got Rob on the show, let's bring up a question from a female that we got sent. Now, this actually went to.
Is this more of a geekgasm question?
It went to Geekgasm, but Lola wasn't able to answer it, so it's a two-part question though.
Did it just not come up in your conversation, or was she just not able to answer?
She wasn't able to answer. She said, "I'm gonna
Okay.
leave that for you guys."
Oh,
So
all right.
All right, all
here
right.
we go.
Hold on, let me answer. Yes, I made my comic book to get laid, and yes, I have a fetish agenda.
There's a soundbite right there we're waiting for. There it is. Before we jump into with 1 second here, MVSOZ says that issue is like a catch-22. It can help and hurt indie creators. Sharing lists could grow an audience among like-minded creators.
Yeah, but you're unethical. You didn't earn those people. Those people didn't sign into it. And as a matter of fact, that's now illegal. For those who don't know, doing that, putting anyone on your subscriber list who did not subscribe to you, I stress this, is now against the law. They have to opt in.
That's a spam loss, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You won't go to jail. You'll just get fined. They're not
yeah.
going to arrest you.
Yeah, but if they can sense that they can fine you hard, you'll get fined hard.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they'll come for you. They'll come for money. If you give them an opportunity to make money, they're going to come get your money.
But I don't have any money.
Well, then remember, we're in a for-profit prison system state here. So's Rob. So they like bringing people in and having them work it off.
Yeah. Speaking of working,
the message is a two-page message.
yes,
Because I saw the word cunt down there. I was like, what? TVMA, folks. I'm a female working in the comics industry as a creator, and I've had, let's call them relations, with a few different males in the industry and written my own, and within my own stable. And it's never come back to bite me on the ass, nor should it. Furthermore, no one has, to my face, suggested that my after-con activities has benefited my career.
second part. 1 second.
Second part.
1 minute.
So when I hear about women stating that comics is a boys' club and that comics is full of toxic males, I, for one, cringe. Every encounter I had, I enjoyed, and did not expect, nor would I accept any career advancement from it. Like I suspect, so many of these women now crying foul did and will continue to do. Did I miss a line there?
No, I think that's it. Yeah,
Okay. Eventually, they'll burn it for all of us.
ruin it.
Ruin it. Sorry. Eventually, they'll still burn it. They'll burn it for all of us. They'll ruin it for all of us. Ruby, there are always exceptions to the rule. And not everybody is as level-headed as you are writing and saying. You know, the basic rule in any business anymore, especially with the Me Too movement and the sexual harassment charges, is just never shit where you eat. And you are literally spinning the wheel because you don't know when you're going to have an overly sensitive male that could come back on you and complain or literally turn the gender tables on your situation. So as you progress, I would recommend that you be very, very careful with the relationships that you have, especially with people inside the industry.
Ruby.
And like I said earlier, this industry is a real small knitting circle.
Ruby, my email is KYD. I'm just kidding. No.
Oh, Randy, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you think it's still that small nowadays?
Yes.
I always feel like it's getting so big that people are falling under the
Are we
crack.
talking about the
No.
industry or something else? Wait, what's going on here?
No, thank goodness it's growing a little, Rob. It's getting more diverse. You're having a lot more female, a lot more different cultures come in, different viewpoints, different points of view. Absolutely. But we're still a very small business. Just look at the numbers that we're moving. A lot of these independent guys, quite honestly, I'm shocked that they're still in business, let alone have an office when they're only turning over 1,800 in an issue. This market is still incredibly small, and the people working in the market is still incredibly small. And again, it's just it's like as if the whole thing were corporate and small work environment, and only takes one incident to really throw you right out the gate. So you absolutely need to be careful.
And
about the
also,
relationships that you have. And like I said, not everybody is as open-minded or um, uh, obviously emotionally intelligent as Ruby sounds here.
and I would also say this: it's easier as a female to make a statement like this than a male, because
Absolutely.
as a male, you have crosshairs on you. I have talked to cosplayers and have freaked out when I realized that there was no relationship coming, and I didn't know how to break it off. I didn't, because I didn't want the bad reputation, right? You don't want someone making things up about you. And
Yep.
cosplayers are close enough to our industry now that you have to worry about that. So now I won't even really flirt with cosplayers. I just, like you said, you have to keep your hands clean. Step away from it. Don't get involved in something that can come back. And I'm a middle-aged white man. I'm the bad guy no matter what. So I have to watch how I behave.
Yeah.
It is just the truth. I am the Lex Luthor of comics. According to everyone, every panel I sit in, it's about that old white guy, that middle-aged white guy. And I suddenly realized, wait, I'm the middle-aged white guy. So I'm the problem. So I have to be very careful with how I react and act.
You are perceived as the problem from some people. I mean, that minority is vocal and small. You
But
know,
but
we're
they're
still,
loud.
but
They're
yes, they're vocal, they're loud, but
they're loud.
they're those 12 weirdos. You know, a couple dozen weirdos that Zach is constantly talking about on his broadcast. But you really have to be careful. You really
Yeah.
do. It doesn't. It's not every day. You know that you're going to hit a successful relationship. Well, you know, it's just like dating in general. But dating inside of this industry is even worse. So you just have to be careful. Just be really careful. I was real lucky. I was working at a retail shop and doing comics when my wife kept coming in, and she ended up hitting on me before we went out. Which, you know, I'm a sucker for an aggressive woman anyway. But you know, it only took us one date to decide that this was it, and we've been together ever since. So
I mean, but Ruby P should be careful because at some
I'm
point,
really glad I'm not dating now.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Ruby might want to be careful though, because at some point, like you said, Randy, she might run to an overly sensitive person, and then yeah, it's just bad. But I do agree that Ruby, it does seem to be a sound mind. I
Not
have.
not everybody is emotionally intelligent as that. So,
And it's sad that I mean, I don't think the industry is full of toxic males. I don't consider myself toxic. I may smell like it, but I'm not toxic.
no, but
Uh,
again, just like with having a relationship in the industry, it only takes one freaking pig to screw it up for everybody. One pig, one vocal female, boom! All of a sudden, everybody's riding the razor's edge and extra careful.
mhm.
Well, let's not forget too that this is a real thing that no one ever talks about because you're not supposed to victim blame. But a lot of people are just making stories up to get noticed,
Yeah,
and a lot of people are hurt by that because you'll see all of us sit around talking about negative in comics, but how many people are talking about the positive or even the retractions? Hey, this information was wrong. This is the truth of the story. It's like when it's a headline, it's on the front page, but when it's a retraction, it's right before the sports in the newspaper.
and not everybody's willing to share their headspace like Ruby just did.
Yeah. And then sometimes people will be like, oh, she was forced to recant the statement.
Right.
It really happened. This is a conspiracy. It's like, no, people's lives are getting ruined now because it's a power. It's I don't even know how to put it other than it's just something ugly that you can threaten people over. I know creators who've been almost blackmailed at this point by certain people.
Have been. I know people that have been blackmailed inside the industry for something they honestly didn't do. And you, pardon me, you see it all the time.
Yeah, it's a different time now, so it's just better to not date.
It's better to be extremely cautious. You know, there's those old rules about chaperones and that were put in place for a reason. Way back when for the religious folk. There's nothing wrong with socially getting to know somebody, and of course you want to find somebody that shares your likes and dislikes. That's the only way a successful relationship's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's a lot more difficult now to find that, and you just have to be careful.
In relation to the the spam and the email list.
Tell that to all the
Andrew
spam phone calls.
yeah,
M3,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Anthony says never shit where you eat, old school.
Very old
And
school, but still very wise.
Trico says the local indie scene is still small as hell. Do one local con, you pretty much met everyone.
Yep.
And then he also says make sure you stay away from certain people in this industry who might be you know yeah.
What he means there are they're more sleazoid people. I mean, if you
Yeah,
get a bad
yeah,
vibe from somebody
yeah,
professionally, there's no reason to even think about doing anything intimately.
yeah.
You know, and
Ralph says
there are some pretty hardcore greaseballs out there.
Enjoy your life, but always be aware of the consequences. You are in a small business with a small following, so one misstep can have a bad ripple effect,
Yep.
no matter how good-hearted you may be. There's Dorothy's. Hello, uh, Dorothy's. Dorothy's. We
Their
had a
face is
question.
looking in.
Yeah, we had a question earlier. Um, the person that wrote in a question to us said that you were left. It said that you were left homeless and penniless. Um, I didn't want to put words in your mouth, so I was like, I need to contact you and find out was that true. I like when your deal with Short Fuse went south, were you indeed left? Like, I know you didn't get any money, but were you left homeless at that point? If you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. But just for
Absolutely.
clarification,
Yep.
um,
And Anthony, all you have to do is look at my my gray hair, and know I'm showing my age all the time.
Randy shows his
They,
age when he.
they call me the Gandalf of comics.
uh, Randy, you want to read this next question?
Sure, from Germs.
Germs is actually writing into Lola's show a lot, so.
Cool. I feel like prices to exhibit at Comic Cons needs to be lowered. I've looked around and to get a reputable I've looked around and to get in a reputable larger cons artist alley costs around $300 plus per table. Add to that travel costs such as hotel, food, travel, and a show could cost $1,000 easy to attend. Yes, it could. Crowdfunding has made comic creation accessible. Print on demand has made comics creation accessible. Why haven't Comic Cons? Anybody want to take that before I go on a rant?
Well, I mean, before Randy's grant, and I'm sure it's going to be similar, a lot of it just comes down to greed and taking advantage of what they can. Make the money while you can make the money. Everyone knows comics cons are going to change. They're going to continuously change. And there's some people out there just trying to cash in on a trend.
Randy, are you rolling your sleeves up?
I'm rolling my sleeves up. Germs. Can I go? Can I
Yeah,
go?
go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
go,
ahead.
you think?
Germs. Something that you're going to have to remember and look at sincerely is the Comic Cons aren't Comic Cons anymore. I hate to break this to you, but they're actually media cons that are disguised as Comic Cons. And to be a media con, you have to bring in the big TV star, you have to bring in the big movie star, and all of that takes bottom line money guarantees. And in order to recoup your costs, most of the convention organizers jack that into the table costs. So an artist alley table goes from $50 to $300 overnight because suddenly Stephen Amell needs $100,000 guarantee, and that the con guy doesn't want to pay that out of his pocket. So guess who gets to pay that? The other people paying for them tables. Now, the way you get around that is to start looking for comic cons, old style comic conventions again, flea markets, wherever you have to go to set up a table. You might not want to set up a table at a so-called reputable larger con because it's just too expensive. Eventually, these guys are going to see their bottom line drop through the floor because anytime lately, especially I go to these larger cons, the artist alley is huge. And these are all people there that are paying, in my opinion, it's the same as yours, jacked up prices for their tables. When all these guys are out there trying to make some sort of profit, and I can say that from a comic convention coordinator's perspective, because I run shows up here in Michigan. My table costs for vendors are $50, but I only charge $5 through the door, and I don't have the big movie star coming in that I have to give 1,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 or 100,000 guarantee to, that I have to cover if I have nobody walk through that door.
Except for me.
I'm not. I need to talk to you about that too. So we have to renegotiate your contract very seriously. I don't have enough jelly beans anymore.
Oh man, Ralph says I agree. Germs. Eric says supply and demand. Ralph says some promoters have been focused on other media stars instead of focused on the creators of the medium.
And Ralph would know, because Ralph also set up such shows, but he's a vendor. He sells comics. So and Ralph does a lot of my shows, and hopefully he's very happy with it. Because, like I said, all I want to do is cover my immediate, just like, and believe me, the larger shows, that's what they're out to do also. They want to cover their base expense with the, hall rental and their guests coming in off of the cost of those tables that the vendors and the artists have to pay on the floor. So their prices go up. And if you go and talk to the vendors too, the vendors are usually paying double, I'm thinking, of what the artist alley table guys are.
What's the right price?
There is no right price. The right price is what the market will bear. Maybe there's enough artists out there that want to pay the $300.
Can I chime in?
Go ahead.
This is a gripe of mine. It's a huge gripe of mine. This comes down to craft people now being inserted into Artist Alley.
There you go.
Because artists won't pay the prices that are being charged. But sure enough, craftspeople who borrow for niceness, IPs like, superheroes and Marvel and DC, and slap it on pillows and slap it on belts, are able to easily make back the money, while a artist or even a comic book creator that's there selling a book $5 at a time, $10 at a time, when you sit down and really think about how much it takes to make a $300 table, let alone the hotels, the gas, the food, everything involved in it, it's very hard for a creator. So Randy's right. They don't care about, a lot of these shows just simply don't care that there's not an Artist Alley anymore.
Yeah.
They don't. They call craftspeople artists. And I know people want to argue with it, but intellectual property rights stop 90% of those people in Artist Alley from even being able to claim that they are artists, because they're just taking something that's not theirs. It is despicable what they do, and I know there's two sides to it, and I've talked to many people about this, and I know a lot of promoters actually. It's not an easy fix for a price point, because they need to be able to afford putting on a show. But Randy's right; they're not Comic Cons anymore. I'd love to go to a Randy's show. If Randy was anywhere closer to me, I would go to one of his shows, and I'll probably try to go to one of his shows one of these years, because I want to go to the old school shows. And we've been talking about this as creators. A lot of us are abandoning the bigger shows for smaller shows that are centric on creators, not on making money. We want to be with promoters who are looking at it as, I want to do this because I'm passionate about it, not because I saw someone else do it and I can make the same money that Reed Pop makes. Yep. And Reed Pop itself, for the record, has one of the best artist alleys in the world. They're just artists in there. That's it. There's no crafts. There's no huge giant Metallica wall art stuff. It's artists. It's artists being genuine and talking to people. So people want to make Reed Pop money, but not follow what Reed Pop does. It's very confusing. So that's my rant. I don't like that the Crafts Alley has been put into Artist Alley, because Randy knows this. Artist Alley is supposed to be cheaper because that's where the artists went, and that was the whole point of the con, was to have artists there to meet the people who are making comic books. And now that's not an industry focal point. It's not their desire to put creators front and forward. Cosplayers, because cosplayers come in and they hang out. What cons are starting to realize, though, is cosplayers come to hang out, play, make a mess, go home, and don't spend money outside of their tickets. And they're starting to realize this.
If even that.
Yeah, because a lot of times, we'll invite these cosplayers. I hate to break it to the people, and I know you're going to get hate mail variants, so I apologize now. I hate to break it to cosplayers, but your time is up. There are so many people cosplaying now, it's not special anymore. It's cool. It's always going to be cool, but it stopped being special about a year ago. And you're starting to see cons get rid of cosplay alleys. And it's bad news for all of us because that means they put cosplayers throughout the show, which means now vendors are forced to be next to cosplayers who want to go there and hang out and have fun because they're getting free tickets. That's going to dry up this year too. Yeah. So all you cosplayers starting to have vacations on the dime of a convention. Enjoy it while it lasts, because I know from talking to people, you guys have worn out your welcome, and that is what you have done. I hate Rob. Yes.
Time is up. Send all your hate mail to iHateRob@INDIEVOLT.com. We'll have Rob on again to address all of these.
I'll be on for an hour-long special.
There we go. One thing that I've seen that's a glimmer of hope at these shows is that they're starting to separate the printmakers and the craftians from the artists, and they're making the printmakers and craftians get regular vendor tables. They're not stopping them, and they're not putting them in artist alley, but they are getting them for all that they're worth. And that's not because of any ethics question. That's because they realize they can get more money off of these guys because these guys are making money.
I spoke to a crafter who told me it really upset me because she was upset that she had been put in crafters corner, basically. Yeah. And she was upset because she says, we're all artists. And I agree with her. This is a couple years ago. I'm like, yeah, I mean, what you do is pretty amazing. So I wouldn't have a problem sitting next to you. And then she happens to have a side job at a local store near me. And so I walked in, I seen her, I'm talking to her, and she's like, I have a craft show next week. And I said, oh, she's like, yeah, we got some open tables, so I'm trying to, fill them. And I said, well, how much tables? She told me they were $25. I'm like, well, I'll get one. I don't have a show next week. Oh, sorry, crafters only. And I'm like, what? And I realized we can't do crafting shows. They say no printed materials, no artwork. So it's kind of like they can do our shows, but we can't do theirs. That is one of the things that upsets me the most. Yeah. Let me get to these comments though about that. So Trico says, no big stars at your con. Randy, apparently you forget my cameo in UFO, the Oldest Files.
Sorry, Trico, I didn't mean to belittle anybody's career. I meant outside guys that we had to pay for.
Yeah, you're the man, Randy. Wink, wink, says Ralph.
Thanks, Ralph.
Eric says, when you're small time, you need a team of other creators on hotel and travel.
Yep. There's been plenty of times that I've slept on a hotel floor.
Trico says, I agree with Rob on crafters, big versus small shows, etc. Yep. Josh Lyman says, Randy, what you mean by printmakers?
By printmakers, I mean people that use other people's IPs and print multiple prints, have the entire the print wall that Rob was talking about. You're starting to see those people now shoved into the vendors area, which is where, quite frankly, they need to be. Now, that doesn't mean an artist who's out there selling prints of his own stuff or has, a half a dozen prints back behind his wall or 10 prints behind him of stuff that he's done, of nice, real pretty stuff that he's done. But a lot of these guys are doing, what's his name, who does the face front kind of thing. Over and over and over and over again, that just sell it, and there's not a whole lot of artistry left in it.
Yeah, happy birthday to Terry too. I believe it's Terry's birthday today. I believe.
I don't mean to single him out.
No. There's a lot of.
There are a lot of people out there that do that kind of stuff, or that print other people's artwork, or find some great art and print. It's the same thing as the T-shirt guys. Mm-hmm. You can't expect somebody who grabs an old pulp magazine, prints the cover on a T-shirt to be stuck in an artist alley. They're vendors. They need to be in the vendor area.
Eric says Illustrators Alley?
Illustrators Alley.
Yeah. They'll call it Illustrators Island. You'll see.
But I do have some news on this.
Mm-hmm.
I can't confirm fully that this is happening, but I've been talking. You guys know the show MegaCon. I know you do. Varian MegaCon down here in Florida. It's in Orlando.
Yeah.
I've been in talks with them for the last year and a half to 2 years about separating out creators, us who are comic book creators, and putting us together. I've been informed that it looks like this year they're going to be experimenting with making aisles of the con into actually dedicated areas. We'll see if it happens, but it was exciting to hear that they're even debating it. And I said this to them while I was having a discussion. It's amazing that we go to Comic Cons and everything is thrown everywhere, but you would never go back to a supermarket that put ketchup in the freezer aisle. It just wouldn't make sense. But at a Comic Con, it's just everyone just throws everything anywhere they want instead of thinking, hey, let's make this one section. Because if you're a consumer, you know what you want. A lot of these people are walking around because they know what they want. And I do believe that if you put comic book creators together, you'll get more. Even crafters, I think they just don't want to be next to each other as much because they're afraid they'll compete with each other. But you belong in Crafts Alley. I never said you don't belong at a Comic-Con. That has never come out of my mouth. Even cosplayers should be able to stand outside the building and do whatever they want. Oh, yeah. They're allowed to be right outside.
Well, to an extent, if they're outside charging money in order to have photographs done of them, that's wrong.
No.
If they're outside attracting people and bringing them into the show, that's a whole different story.
I get to cosplayers with tables right outside my building. Here's your free table.
MVSLD says artists are not respected in corporate environments. Stay indie. And Josh says, bluntly speaking, they're going to vendor areas because they get better traffic in those areas, so they pay more for that space. But the core issue boils down to this: at what point does segregation by type inhibit a con?
It doesn't. Does it inhibit a supermarket? Do people go, I can't believe they put all these things together? How dare they?
Well, I think the better con has a mix, but Josh, you're just wrong, because I know a couple of convention people that look at these folks and quietly tell them that either next year when they come in, or if they catch them as they're sending in their application, tell them that they're not in Artist Alley, they're a vendor. So
I've been told I couldn't get an Artist Alley at some of the Repop shows
because you're seeing a lot tighter rein put on that kind of thing also, because the convention organizers feel that they're being gypped by having vendors suddenly pop into Artist Alley.
I've been told that I couldn't get in Repop shows or in the Artist Alley because I'm not going in as Varian Grant. I have to go in as Varian Grant, and then I could get an Artist Alley. But even that's a Druid show, so I have to be selected. But otherwise, I got to get an exhibitor spot, which at that show was pretty expensive. It's costly. Real quick here, let me read something to you guys. I read it last night, and I want to read it to everyone here, because it is.
Can we drop germs?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It is important, and it relates to.
I'm just gonna post that up there from Larry.
Larry.
F conventions.
Larry has all the reason in the world to say F conventions. Larry was. I don't want to say it without his permission, but yeah, he has very good reason to be.
We need to have Larry on soon to talk about his situation.
Yeah. I tried to get him on, but he's always busy. Thinks he's too good for us.
He does have his own channel, which is what, Rebels Comics and Gaming?
Yeah. Let's see here. Where is it? Okay, here it is. All right, so I'm going to read this. I'm going to take out names. I've shared it with Rob. Rob knows about it. I'm going to take out the names, though. So a gentleman who was a volunteer at a con posted this in a group. It says, on Saturday, I attended the volunteers meeting for the Blank Comic Con, which is an event created and organized by blank, this person. During the meeting, many people were made uncomfortable, and yelling even broke out about his stance on sexual harassment of female cosplayers at the convention. He made it very clear that he was in charge, and what he says goes. And his stance is that volunteer staff must do nothing to intervene and take absolutely no action to de-escalate if they observe acts of harassment, unless a formal complaint is made. The only exception to this rule is that if we see a cosplayer accepting money for photos, we must then intervene, because then they're a vendor and we need to get a cut. Harassment in this case includes following people around, unwanted picture taking, and unwanted physical contact. His position was that we were likely going to see women faking harassment in order to quote unquote attack the convention and quote unquote take it down. He believes that there are organized groups trying to destroy his convention to build up their own. This isn't my speculation. He uses as a reason to not proactively intervene. To be clear, I have no affiliation to any other conventions of any type. I just thought it would be fun to volunteer. Um, so we talked about a little bit about that on Geekgasm last night, and what do you guys think about that? And the question on Geekgasm was, do does a promoter of a show have a responsibility to protect cosplayers? We'll let Rob start with this one.
Oh wow! Oh, thanks, thanks, bud. First off, I do stress this. I don't know all the information, even though Varian sent it to me. I did say I don't necessarily trust the information because I wasn't in the room. So we're going by only what he said. So the following is based upon what has been told us. To go over it, first off, the volunteers that I've seen at most shows probably aren't good enough to show me where the bathrooms are most times. So I don't know if I want them interfering in something that they've never had training for. My understanding is that most shows should have security. If this is a small enough show that does not have security, that is something they are doing wrong. There should be a security at every show. That is for everyone's security, literally. So then that's on the show if they don't have security. If they do have security, again, this is their job, not one of these people. However, hearing everything I did hear from what they said, the promoters should say, we have a security force. And I don't know if they did. Again, I stress this. It's only going by this, guys. We have security. They handle these things. You have a walkie-talkie. You have my cell phone number. Call me if an incident is reported. As far as threatening to take money from people asking for money, yeah, that's life. That's real life. That's exactly what happens in business. You can't go to McDonald's and sell your burgers. I'm sorry, kids. That's just capitalism, and that's how the world works. You want to be a cosplayer and make money? Do like all the other cosplayers do. Go get naked on Instagram and on your camera. That's how you make your money. Okay, kids? And if you're a guy, I don't know, become a fireman and pose in a calendar. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. There's not a lot of money there for you. You might as well just give up now. Moving on to the last point that he made, that there are other cons trying to take him out. Of course there are. Every day. There's always someone who wants to come in and take your money. I absolutely think he said that, and I do think there's some truth to what this guy said, but I also think this guy's a cosplayer or has a girlfriend that's a cosplayer, because this was definitely about how he was offended by not protecting cosplayers. Look, everyone should feel safe at a show. Anyone who touches another human being should be thrown against a brick wall repeatedly without permission. I'm fine with that. But it's for the police to do the throwing. It's for security to do the throwing, not untrained people who, when you ask them when the next panel is, they look at you and go, oh, I don't know. I'm just a volunteer. I don't want that person interacting in anything of importance. I want someone who is trained, because those situations escalate. And this all comes back to it, and I know Varian's going to hate me for this, but this is why we shouldn't have alcohol at these shows. Which constantly you hear more uptick in problems at shows that serve alcohol, because humans can't behave sober. How do we expect them to be? And I don't trust humans. So this is just me against humans. I don't trust that they can handle alcohol in a situation like that. And I know from experience. So that's again, show the hate mail. Email for all the things. And I'll let Randy take it.
I totally believe that eventually, hopefully, knock on wood, somebody's going to start doing a string of adult cons where there is heavy security and alcohol and nobody under 18, so that we can enjoy this stuff that the stuff that I grew up on, like the underground books and that kind of material. But that being said, anybody touching anybody on without their permission is wrong and needs to be stopped. And a convention organizer has to have enough of a sense to know the difference between harassment and assault. And harassment needs to be addressed quietly, and assault needs to be addressed in a different manner, and that person needs to be tossed out of the show. Not horribly physically, but it needs to be handled. You know, they need to be ushered out and pushed out or whatever they have to, or the police called.
Yeah.
You know, they need to be cornered and told that they get to leave, or they can leave in cuffs.
I said my
So
piece on the show last night, but I do on Geekgasm, but I do think, yeah, again, you touch somebody, you're out of there. Like you said, Randy, police are called. You walk in the bathroom while somebody taking pictures, police are called.
yep,
Um, you take a picture of somebody eating a burger while dressed as Wolverine. That's not harassment.
yeah,
Come on, come on.
and it has been taken as such in the past, though.
Yeah, yeah, and it's going to continue if we don't start to put a a clear definition on this what harassment is. Speaking to that, Eric says they have a clear no harassment policy on the website. Vic is a guest of this show, so that makes him a target of the Kick Vic people.
Right?
Uh, and we know what being a supporter of
Kick
Vic
Vic can get you.
Mignola
Yeah.
gets you, don't we, Larry? I'm not making fun of you, Larry, but Larry, I'll go ahead and say it. I'm pretty sure he doesn't mind. Larry was told he can come to a con. He was told he couldn't come to the con last year, I believe, because he supported Vic. This year he was supposed to be able to go to the show, and I guess now in the ninth hour they tell him he can't come to the show, even though he's talked about it, he's talked up his appearance at the show. Now he's out, and that really upsets me because I mean Larry's a good guy, and to be told he can't come to the show because he supports Vic, that's kind of messed up. Josh says, Randy, vendors who rep artists buying vendor spaces, and of course vendor sells prints, all different monsters. Using Rob's examples, crafters and jewelers complain when next to each other. Inkers complain when next to each other. Fan expo shows. Writers complain when all grouped Denver. Comic big names complain. The list goes on and on. Then you segregate by going specialized areas, i.e., kid friendly, 18 and older, LGBTQ, urban, and indie. The same thing happens. Awesome con for I don't know if there was more, but it cut it off. But then he says, this AM is definitely 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I will agree that if we keep trying to segregate it down, we're gonna end up with a weird looking convention. I mean, because they do have an LGBTQ area now, and I've talked to some gay creators who told me they don't want that area, and they
Yeah.
don't feel like they should be in that area. Um,
That's outlandish in my opinion. It should all be mixed together.
yeah. Um,
I mean,
and
artists, vendors.
Yeah,
mhm,
but on the same thing, when you go to a bookstore, you have things separated by interests. We're forgetting
Yeah.
that. In the end of the day, we're not looking at this from the point of view of the people attending. We're looking at it. Oh, I can't be next to a comic book creator because they're going to affect my sales. Then let me be real honest. Uncle Rob's going to just tell you the truth. That means they have a better product than you. That means you have to go back to the drawing board and get a better product, or maybe have less ego and understand maybe that wasn't one of your fans. Not everyone who walks through those doors came to see you, honey. I'm sorry. You're supposed to put up a display, tell people what your book's about, and it's their choice. This is not a guarantee, kids.
Yeah.
Too many people go to Comic Cons and get mad because no one bought your book. And I've seen them texting. I've seen them not paying attention, not interacting. They don't have good displays. I could go down a list of things. You know who sells? The people who are energetic, constantly talking to the fans and endearing themselves to the people that pass by, having fun with them. I talk to people all the time, just have conversations with them. They come back on Sunday, buy my books. Maybe stop worrying about everyone else's problems and your own, because I can tell you from experience, creators who are more passionate sell more. And it's just that simple.
mhm. Okay, I have the rest of Josh's comment now. Let me read. I'm sorry. So
Where did you find that?
he sent it to me, the rest of
Oh,
his whole
okay.
comment. So I'll start where it says I'll read the whole comment over again. So he says, Randy, vendors who rep artists buying vendor spaces, and of course vendors sell art prints, all different monsters. Using Rob's examples, crafters and jewelers complain when next to each other, inkers complain when next to each other, fan expo shows, writers complain when all group Denver, Comic big names complain. The list goes on and on. Then you segregate by going specialized areas, i.e., kid friendly, 18 and older, LGBTQ, urban and indie. The same thing happens. Awesome Con, for example, where is it at? Okay, yeah. Awesome Con, for example. What the heck? I just seen it. Okay, yeah, for example, we are a melting pot of diverse creators. And using a supermarket analogy, Rob, lettuce isn't a tomato, spaghetti sauce isn't pasta. You may group stuff together generally, but rice is typically not on the same row as pasta. Different flavors and ingredients make the best recipe. You have to combine them to create a good meal, and everyone still gets to choose their ingredients from the lump sum of items. There
Am
we
I
go.
respond to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Should I respond to that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, if you want.
I do agree with him and Randy, what he said. When you micromanage it too much, it becomes a problem. There is definitely a line. Like the supermarket doesn't have a lettuce aisle. He actually nailed it and answered it out loud without realizing he had. We have general categories. So we should have comic book creators in an aisle called Creator Alley, something I've been championing for the last 4 years. I've said that should be made. You should have an artist alley for those who are just artists. But if you have an artist who's a comic book creator, put them with the comic book people. It's not very hard to really just make strong categories. I do agree. You put me in an adult aisle. Is my book really an adult? It's an adult tale, but everyone who thinks adult is going to think porn. That could hurt my sales because I don't make a pornography book. Plus, I'm different. I make a children's book and an adult tale. So where do you put me? You split my table in half and I run back and forth when someone rings a bell? You know, I think that when you go too far and dissect it and put it under a microscope, you lose. But if you step back and go, okay, they're comic book creators, they make crafts, it's not so hard. And I think that there does have to be a line. Too much of, I guess, nitpicking a person where they should be is going to hurt a convention. But making an artist alley that just has artists and not craftspeople works at New York Comic Con every year. It works at smaller shows. Creators love. I've never heard anyone complain. Randy, have you heard anyone complain about being next to a fellow creator?
No, other than real petty stuff. I don't like so and so, and I'm sitting right next to him.
You know, yeah, I mean, I've never heard that. And I talk to thousands of indie creators all the time. And in a year, I've never heard anyone say that. Never. Yeah. You're the first person I've ever heard out loud to say that creators don't like being next to a creator who just does what they do. And again, you're talking about, what was it, inkers he was talking about? I've never seen anyone at a show just be an inker and put up a banner that says they're just an inker. So
I've seen that.
I'm saying I haven't seen it. So I don't know if that's necessarily a thing where
it is a thing.
Yeah, I mean about two inkers being next to each other. I don't.
Oh no, no.
I can't speak to that because I've never seen it. Is what I'm saying.
Because usually they're sitting there comparing notes.
Yeah, I've never seen.
If there's nobody there, hey, what color ink do you use? That kind of thing.
Usually we learn from each other.
Yeah.
Going on the road is an education.
Yeah.
And putting this next to a craft person, oh, you steal IPs. I mean, you borrow. I'm sorry. You borrow IPs and put it on belts and hockey masks. Cool. We have nothing to talk about now.
Yeah.
Trico says it'd be cool if there was an 18 over after 5 or 6 p.m. so I wouldn't have to trip over little kids running around. That would be nice. A lot
of your science fiction and gaming conventions have had that happen.
Brian says he was hosting a watch party, but Facebook is somewhat broken. Thank you, Brian. We appreciate that. Anybody who wants to share IndieVolt? If not, you can go over to if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you like and subscribe. Yeah. Aaron Calamari says, "What's up, homies? What's up, Aaron?" Aaron was on with us a little while ago. That was cool having him on. You're welcome back anytime you'd like to come back, Aaron. Yeah. Ralph says, vendors, crafters, creators, kind of simple in my opinion. Yep. Brian says, or maybe they're just hawking loud or literally poaching in regards to why you might not want to be next to somebody.
Maybe. Yeah, that's just bad. That's just bad form.
That was his thing about the screenshot. Brian says, for the record, there's pasta in the World Foods aisle, usually where the rice is located.
World Foods aisle. There you go.
Josh says, and that's all I'm saying as my point on segregation of the alleys. Ralph says, mix them in or separate them. That's up to the promoter. The con promoter show will excel or fail based on their choices. Whatever works for that promoter
Can I touch on that for a minute?
The Ralph's comment, sure.
And Randy will agree with me on this. I think. So I think I've heard you say this. The promoter's job is also to make sure that it's successful for the people who show up.
Yeah.
By organizing it away. So there's this attitude of promoters that if they make the money in the door, it's going to be a great show. And then when they put up a show the following year and no one signs up and it's just crash people, they wonder what happened. Here's what happened. You didn't care about the people who showed up. We're paying for you to put on your event. And if you screw us, we're going to remember. We're going to go back into Randy's point. Small community. People ask me all the time what shows to avoid. And there's a local show that is going to die now because people kept asking me about it. And I told the truth. They didn't make it something personal. I told them the truth. And now that show's probably not going to happen. And it's a month away because they can't fill the room. And if it does happen, it's going to be horrible. He is reaching out to everyone in the community down here to literally give away tables, and I'm having my community say no. So trust me, Ralph, it matters what the promoter does. It might not affect them in the year they did it, but it will the next year because we all talk. There's nothing more than we like to get together and bitch and moan to each other.
Small knitting circle, small gossip circle, absolutely. I've done shows where the artist alley's been one floor up.
Oh,
And nobody bothered to come in. It's in a room down the hall. Nobody's bothered to come in. Was in two conference rooms all the way across the hotel from the vendors area. And the only reason they showed up is because they mixed in the big guys with the little guys.
Well, let's not forget that con about a couple months ago where Artist Alley was in a different building about a mile away.
Yeah.
You guys remember that? That was kind of funny. Brian says, I actually like cons that allow for people I like to be near. They do have that on some applications. List who you don't want to be close to, who you want to be close to. Eric says, to use Terry as an example, I believe he's talking about Terry Huddleston, he is a draw. If your indie book is next to him, you'll get more eyeballs at a big con. Plus, if you talk to him, he'll probably promote you to his buyers.
Yeah.
Josh says, different generation of divas and artists, LOL, and it's fun to expand outside our small individual worlds. You learn a lot by watching and listening. Did you, Josh? You call yourself a diva? You learn a lot by watching and listening. Brian says, can you clarify which Terry? We was talking about Huddleston, which Eric confirms there.
Huddleston, yeah.
Brian says, okay, that's what I thought you meant. And then Ralph says, yep, that's what I mean. It will fail to succeed. For me, it will be an epic fail if not considered. Josh says, I'll be back Tuesday to weigh in on this. Rob, you're going to be on. I love the chat. Sans typing interrupts.
Sure, I don't care.
Yeah, we'll get them in the chat, and well, the rest of us will just be quiet and watch. We won't get a word in anyways.
So you're a voyeur now? I know you've been researching fetishes. So voyeurs where you're landing, Varian?
Yeah. I'm into voyeurs. I get on the bus and I just keep my little camera up. So we got 2 questions left, Randy, and they're very close to each other.
You mean right on the same bus? Right
pretty much,
on the
yeah.
Same seat?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Are they touching each other?
Possibly.
I'm not touching you.
Pick a letter, S or D.
My question's touching you. Let's go. Let's go with D.
D. All right.
Open that envelope.
Mm-hmm.
I'm considering getting in the indie comics publishing game
Don't do it.
here in Tennessee. What type of books creators should I look for? Types to avoid? Any advice, guys? King Freddie DeHouse.
Is moving an option?
You just don't want him in Tennessee? Is that what you're saying?
Well, think about Tennessee's the Bible Belt. That's not typically a great area for creative people. I mean, I would be crucified down in Tennessee. I don't do shows in the Bible Belt for a very good reason.
Well, that's the content of your book, too.
Yeah. So, I mean, being a publisher down there, you're going to get in trouble. There are going to be people who are going to be offended by things that you're doing if you're doing independent stuff.
All depends on what you're publishing.
Yeah, it really comes down to it. If you want to do tights and capes, go for it. But if you want to do anything different, yeah, move.
All depends on how you perceive your market, you know.
Freddie, yeah,
he might be in Nashville. He might be in Memphis.
That's true.
Whole different state of mind.
Like Texas is Texas.
Then in Podunk, Podunk, Tennessee.
Brian says Nashville and Knoxville are different animals to a degree, though. I
Knoxville's kind of podunk from what I've seen. I've been through there a couple times. Sorry, Nashville or Knoxville people,
yeah.
but
It's in those
just
emails to I hate Randy at
just
Indie World.
just my observation. Sorry, a little bit more. Well, I mean by that a little bit more homey, a little bit more religious, a little bit more straight laced. I guess you would say if you're using an old gray haired old term.
I'm gonna put the call in link if anybody wants to call in. Put that. I'm gonna post that right now. But yeah, I would tell him to
Go in cautiously. Do a lot of research. Get to know your market, your local market, the indie market, the direct market. Get to know all of that before you start spending money, or you'll be spending money making mistakes.
Eric says Rob comes out as anti-Tennessee. Breaking news. Yeah. Tennessee talk. Yeah, that's the ticket. LOL. um, Larry has joined us. Is joining us. He is in the chat and he's now in the room here. Yeah, I would tell Freddie, just make sure if you're gonna what kind of books you're doing, because if you're gonna try to make Tennessee your own, you got to make sure that you're putting out books that people are gonna want to see. I'll tell you this,
Know your audience.
I had a book, which had it was a I forget what the title of the book was at the time. Oh, it was my Jeremiah Cross book. And this lady came to me at a con here in Michigan, and she went on a religious tirade because she didn't like the fact that my character is an occult hunter. She didn't like it. She went off on me. So be prepared for that, King Freddy. Be very aware that that may happen to you. You may get your feelings hurt. And be banned from shows too if the promoters don't like you. So yeah, keep that in mind. Anybody else want to say anything?
Tennessee?
Say again?
Are there a lot of shows in Tennessee?
I'm not sure. Eric might know. Eric does a lot of shows. Eric, have you done a lot of shows in Tennessee?
I know there's a few.
Uh,
Nothing that really comes to mind.
Brian says if you're in Tennessee, a NASCAR style comic could possibly be very successful, or one about country music, or even just a superhero book where the Jedi happens to be a country music personality. He says not a Jedi, a hero.
No, I like Jedi better. Like Luke from Last Jedi. He's the perfect example of a bad country music song.
Let's see here. And the next question is, so we got King Freddy, right? Okay. All right. And this is the next one.
That's me.
Okay.
Well, I thought somebody was going to start playing music.
Yeah.
I'm going to mute you guys for a second. I'm studying.
Right. Shannon B, thanks for writing in, even though I see my name in the comment. Hail Comics, most educated panel. Both Zimm and Sep
Me.
have been on the
Septimus.
Oh, Septimus. Oh,
Yeah.
Sep-
Septimius. Yeah.
have been on the publishing side of the industry at some point. Yet you both suggest people try self-publishing. I was wondering if you could talk about some of the pitfalls of self-publishing and exactly what should a creator expect. What should a creator expect from a publisher? Well, that's an individual basis and working in the indie market.
Me first.
Go.
Okay. You know what, Shannon? I would say this. I think the reason why both Randy and I suggest try self-publishing is because it will get you an education, cheap and free. Well, not free. You're gonna pay for everything, but it gets you this education that you probably wouldn't get otherwise.
I'm shaking my head like a bobblehead right now to everybody in INDIEVOLT Radio.
It's because you'd want to know that you figure out how much stuff costs, and it will help you appreciate should you actually get a publisher later what they're doing for you. The minute you have to do it for yourself, you're like, oh man, I didn't know. Because I mean, I think people do it the backward way. They for instance, there are people who left big companies and they put out their crowdfunding comic and they had to do everything themselves, and they were like, holy crap, this is a lot of work.
Suddenly there's reality.
Yeah.
What do you mean I have to produce a comic? What do you mean I have to take it to a publisher? What do you mean I have to have it distributed? What do you mean? What's a Gemini mailer? What the heck?
Yeah, so I say get that education. The pitfalls of self-publishing, just do your math. Do your math. Check it twice, three, four, 5 times. Don't be like Larry. No, I'm just kidding. No, Larry's a good example of what you could do. Randy, I was able to make. Randy, tell me if I'm wrong here with this number, but $5,000 work over and over again for months, or
Over
years.
and over again. But I had a lot of printing, not just self-publishing, but alternative publishing experience at the same time. I learned a lot from having Ralph and Stu publish me 1st. You know, I learned, and then I stumbled around and have had multiple companies at one point or another. And you know, I still want to self-publish. Actually, I want to crowdfund and self-publish now.
To
So
King Do House, Eric says there's a few shows in Knoxville. Fanboy is one he does regularly.
there you go.
Yeah. Uh,
When you self-publish too, and something goes wrong, you know exactly who to blame.
yeah. Yeah.
That's a big one for me. That's why I keep self-publishing. So.
What do you guys think about that? Larry, what do you think about what's a pitfall of self-publishing, and what do you expect from a publisher when you get one?
Well, the pitfall is money. Anyone can self-publish if you got enough money, right? But you know, it's kind of like you said, you got to do the math, maybe 2 or 3 times. You know, you got a number crunch. A lot of times, people are going to self-publish, and they're going to expect, hopefully, you know, to have that sort of 6-figure bitch success sort of thing, right? And they end up with maybe 4 figures. You know what I mean?
Yep. If they're lucky.
You know, it cost me $4,000 altogether to put together $4,000 Canadian to put together the latest issue of Niobe, right? And my Kickstarter is at 6,200. So only now, right, after probably shipping and printing, am I getting close to breaking even? You know. And this is the best Kickstarter we've ever ran. So that, you know, tells you something in the sense that we're just breaking even now and we're only 10 days left, right? So it's good to break even because I get all that money back that I spent out of pocket, which is fine and fantastic, which basically means the comic didn't cost me anything to put together. But at the same time, I'm not raking in the dough. So it's a money thing. As far as what I expect from a publisher, I really don't know because I've never been published yet. But that is the hunt, right? That is the goal, to get a publisher. Whether we hit up Peter Samedi from Alterna Comics, or I start hassling Antarctic Press, or whoever else, we're on the hunt, man. Caliber Comics is another one, but each publisher has their own sort of ways that they do things. Yep. Some publishers want to own the IP. Some, like Image, won't own the IP. You know, it's I don't know what to expect from a publisher, but I'm curious to find out.
Some publishers, like Image, make you physically responsible for your break-even point.
Yeah.
So they don't ever lose money.
Brian
Because
said
that comes out of you if it doesn't make it.
Brian said someone asked me if I would do a show if I continue to lose money at that show. My answer, absolutely, but it just depends on the show itself. Rob, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. What is the pitfalls of self-publishing to you?
Oh man, how long do I have? Because there's a lot. I mean, simplified, be ethical. If you're ethical, you're honest, you pay your people, you don't have a lot of pitfalls. The pitfall you'll have is whether or not people like what you created. And that's a hard thing for some people to swallow. You might love it. I'll tell you the truth. I made a book all about my son. I thought it was going to be the best thing I ever created. And people did not respond to it the way I would have wanted them to have. And that's just the reality of life sometimes. You can create something. It doesn't mean people are going to love it. That's the pitfall. That's the honest pitfall that a lot of people don't expect to see it happening, is that someone's not going to like what they created. That's the pitfall. Besides that, there's so many places to learn. There's this panel. There's all this stuff on IndieAdvocates.com. The rest is just doing the time, taking the time to do the research that's necessary. It's steps. There literally are just steps to what we do, and it's doing it right, hiring editors, hiring a team, getting things done, crowdfunding, spending the money appropriately. Now, what should you get from a publisher? Well, they should be giving you a audience. They should be giving you a bigger platform. Because I've turned down many smaller press publishers because they didn't offer me anything. They just wanted my property to build their catalog. And I need to get something in that exchange. You have to be able to give me a bigger audience. You have to be able to get me into possibly previews with whatever project you're taking from my library. You have to be able to get me into conventions possibly for free, or put me at your table so I'm not paying the cost of that table anymore. I need something. It's a relationship. We need to trade with each other. And too often people are so worried about being said, I have a publisher. They don't worry enough about what that publisher is doing for them. The publisher should work for you just as much as you work for them. And I'm fine with Image making me break even, because the minute I say I work for Image Comics, if Image did pick up a book I sent them, there are going to be doors opening more for conventions wanting me to be there, giving me better locations because I work with Image. So there's a trade-off right away. But if I join, and I'm just making this name up, I really hope there isn't a company called this, but if I join Pete's self-published comics, and Pete's self-published comics isn't known anywhere, isn't doing anything for me, and I have a bigger social media footprint than them, they're just trying to take me on so they can get my social media footprint, and they're jumping onto my back, hoping it could be a hit and running away if it isn't. So that's what you should expect. They should be offering you, a fair. Don't trust anyone who offers you the world. Don't trust anyone who promises your book will be a hit. There's no such thing as a promise for that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rob. I didn't mean to cut you off, but one of the things that I had done is, you take some books in, and it's like Eric says here. Yes, Virginia, they're ugly babies. Sometimes, I had a book once where I just could not sell the book. I just couldn't. I tried and I couldn't sell it as a publisher. And but I will tell anybody, see, again, like you said, look what your publisher is going to do for you. Are they going to get you into cons? Are they going to get you a bigger footprint than what you have by yourself? Meaning, can they take your book? Are they going to take your book out of state? Are they going to take your book to that next level that you need to be, that you can't do without some capital or, of your own? Don't take advantage of your publisher. I've seen people do that. They think once they get a publisher, the money's going to start rolling in.
So
I can tell you from
spoken like a true publisher.
Yeah. I can tell you from advantage that some publishers, me myself, I don't have a lot of money. The money that I do spend is it comes from somewhere, my pockets. I could be buying video games and that type of stuff, but I got that type of money. But now I can't because I got to put your book out, and but just take it, like I've seen guys. I'll tell you guys a story. It's a very quick story. I once had a gentleman who I was publishing his book, and he called me and said, "Hey, I'm out front. I'm in the lobby. Could you come and get me?" I got his pass. I go up front to the front to get him, and I'm looking for him. He says, and he waves, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And as I go to him, I notice that he's holding hands with a small child, and another one. And another one, and then there's his wife, and she's holding a baby. All I have is one pass, and he expects me to pay for everybody's passes to the show for 3 days, which is well over $300. And he, it's one of those things where you're like, hey, I don't have passes for all of these extra people, and where are they gonna sit? We've got one table. Where, and you'll have people come. I mean, they'll try to take advantage of you. So don't mean the person takes advantage of your publisher. Make sure your publisher don't take advantage of you. So that means definitely don't do any business with me. I'm just kidding now. But I think that Randy, you've had people not get the money they thought they were going to get. Yeah. They got discouraged because they didn't get the money or the fame. They weren't on the cover of Wizard like they wanted to be.
We always try to be transparent, but
yeah,
never makes or makes their expectations. Because I got a book printed, I'm gonna be rich.
Yeah.
Can I just jump in real quick too?
Sure.
If you're gonna sign a contract, for God's sake, read your contract. Do not do things outside of your contract. That happens so often with, oh, I can just do this behind the publisher's back. They won't find out. Yeah, they're going to find out, and they're going to be pretty mad at you.
Yeah.
So if you don't understand your contract, have someone read it to you. And this is defending a publisher. I've seen so many times someone step out of their contract and get mad at the publisher. Why are you getting mad at them? You signed the contract.
Plus, don't do work for a publisher unless you have that contract too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No matter, handshake deals always, I from personal experience, always end up going south.
Yep.
I would say keep, and understand when make sure that if you do your publisher a favor, make sure that they acknowledge that favor you're doing, and the same, and vice versa. So if the publisher does you a favor, make sure that you acknowledge that you're being done a favor. Because I've seen some publishers do really nice stuff for their talent, and I think that you can end up having a situation where everybody gets really tense. I had a gentleman working with me years and years ago, and I would do stuff for him because the guy couldn't eat. He didn't have any money, and he would always ask me, "Why are you doing all this for me? Why?" It would kind of freak me out because I think maybe he thought I liked him or something. But he'd always ask me that. I was like, "Well, you don't have a place to, live. At least I can help you do is sign. At least I can do is help you sign for your apartment." So I actually hired him on to my company. Bit me in the ass later, but still. Brian says, Rob, this is my opinion, but I think it's a matter of just getting the different fan base for Jax, as you gave a different fan base for Barbara. He says, oddly, I can talk about other people's work in comics sometimes easier than my own. Totally agree with Rob here. It's frustrating for me as a publisher when people don't read their contracts. Yeah, read those contracts. Read the contracts and make sure too that if you're going to have a publisher, when you read that contract, make sure that you put something in there for in case you want to go out on your own and sell your comics. I'm hearing about publishers charging their artists or their creators almost cover price for books, their own books, when they go to conventions. I heard of a publisher actually doing that and then wanting half of that money they made. So they dipped twice in that person's pockets. And if your publisher gets in trouble, you also have to adhere to the publisher's demand sometimes on how you treat yourself, how you behave on social media. That's becoming a big thing, and I think in the future is only going to get bigger. So I would have to corral Larry a little bit. No, I wouldn't corral Larry.
Whoa.
But I want to talk a little bit about what happened to Larry. Larry,
that's a show for another day.
Yeah, are you seeing any headway on that though?
No.
Okay.
It's just one dispute with one con, but it's the only one con around me. So
Very sorry to hear that, Larry.
It's all right, but I'll talk about it at another time. When we got more time to spend on it, and
when we have a good hour.
Yeah,
because that's what it's going to take. I mean, last year I did the interview with Edwin Boyette about it because it all happened last year. So me and Edwin pretty much covered it all then. A 2-hour interview.
Edwin said, "Today I have Larry Higgins from Rebel Comics. Larry Higgins from Rebel Comics." And he's I was doing my Edwin Boyette impression. Yeah.
You always got to say things twice. Always say them twice. And look out for the schemes and scams.
I want to thank you guys for joining us today. I think that I want to ask you both too before we do go on though. Have either of you? I know Randy has. He signed with a publisher before. Have either of you signed with a publisher and had the deal go south? And if so, can you touch on what exactly went south?
Rob, you want to go first, or?
I have
Spin that wheel.
I have been offered many positions with publishers. I have never signed a contract because I never got to the terms I agreed with. I read contracts, I understood what they were doing, and I didn't agree with them. So I'm not going to go into it further than that because I'm not going to say what they were because that's kind of privileged information. So it was part of a contract.
For me, I only ever got semi offered a publishing deal once, and that was through Caliber. They really liked Niobe issue 1. What they didn't like was the artwork in issues 2, 3, and 4, right? So they wanted me to redo those issues, and I didn't want to do that because it's work that's already been done and the story's already been told. So what I told them was, I'm willing to do a brand new Niobe series, and if you like what you see, then we can talk again. And so that's what I'm doing right now. Is I'm doing my own new series, new artists, full color, and at some point I'm going to be knocking on Andrea's door for chit chat, but I'm going to be shopping around.
I think that that is I've never signed for a publisher outside of I do my own stuff. I have been approached. Thank God I didn't take that situation. I didn't take sign on because I'd be answering a lot of questions today. But yeah, Randy, did you ever have a deal go south? I know you have.
I've found that I've been incredibly fortunate with just flat out dumb luck and not getting involved with people that I almost got involved with, and then something didn't quite feel right or it didn't quite work out, and the deal didn't work out, and then boom, suddenly that publisher's just up the creek. So, and I go, whoo, missed that bullet, thank goodness. So, but yeah, I've had contracts that have gone south and deals that have gone south. Sure.
Trico says
lots and lots.
I knew he was going to be here. Trico says a deal with a publisher go south. Me never. Cough. Says speak cough. I knew he was going to do that. I knew it. When the sentence left my lips,
We saw it coming.
Yeah. Brian says I have several that didn't offer any type of contract or any idea of concept of what compensation, if any, would be had down the line. And Ralph says one of these days I need to hear that full story, Trico. I mean, he's willing to tell it. He's willing to tell it.
I mean, for me, publishing, I'm going to be kind of picky on that. It has to have Diamond distributing for it to be worth my while, or at least a very strong distribution model that perhaps maybe Alternate has someplace.
And
it can't be like some run of the mill, out of my house, guy who's publishing and calls himself a publishing company. If he can't get into comic shops nationwide, then it kind of defeats what I'm looking for.
I will say that. What was that, Randy? I seen thumbs up. What was that?
Was that a jab at you?
Yeah, it was a jab at me. I was gonna.
No, it's not a jab at you. I mean,
I'm just kidding, Larry.
Somewhere,
I'm gonna roast Larry. Wait a minute. I'm putting out a diss status right now. Wait a minute.
Jab.
I now understand why Larry Higgins was. I'm just kidding.
That's what you get for picking on Larry earlier.
No, you know what? I will say this though, Larry. It's something you said. You said that you would like to make sure it has distribution, but people should be aware that Diamond sometimes has the last say, even to a publisher, on what they'll distribute. They'll tell, like they could come to a publisher and tell them, "Hey, we're not distributing Popsicle Stick Man because we don't like the art, we don't like the story,
or your book looks really good. Let us make up an excuse not to carry it."
Yeah. I mean, Diamond will really screw your publisher over, and you'll be mad at your publisher. They'll be mad at Diamond. So the publisher at that point is up between you and Diamond. It gets to be a real hassle, but it is nice. Happen. It is. Yeah. And then, I mean, they get mad at Randy and start calling him all type of names. And then Randy has to pull out his gun.
And suddenly they're not in the business for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Not because I pulled out my gun.
No.
Because they had to be explained how stuff went. And it took a while. Letters and emails in front of people and going, look, this isn't us.
Yeah. Ted says
this isn't our decision. This is Diamond coming down and telling us no.
Ted says you get lost in the masses of those cons, and referring to some of the cons that we were talking about earlier about the bigger shows. Trico says we got to grab a beer one day, Ralph.
We all need to grab a beer. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Brian Germain says fuck Diamond.
F Diamond.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Hate mail send to Brian at darkelfdesigns.com. And Ted says invest in smaller shows and build them like Randy Zimmerman and Cherry Capital does. You got to, and also understand too, if your publisher can get you into cons, make sure that you go. Don't make up reasons why you can't go. Just get to the show, especially if they're going to provide you with
make sure you're allowed to go too.
Yeah, make sure you're allowed to go. Don't be like Larry. burning bridges like like he's done today here on Indie Vault, and and yeah, and oh, actually, Rob, do you think that as a publisher of your own books, would you be interested in taking anybody's book on?
I don't want to say yes on an airwave and suddenly have an inbox full of things,
Yeah.
because you say that, but I would not turn down the right property that would want my help. And I actually am already taking on a title that is not my own for the first time. And technically with the Advocate comics, we already produced The Advocator, which technically isn't entirely mine. It's a community project. So the short answer is, for the right reason, yes. But please don't send it to the hate mail account.
That's fine. I mean, we wouldn't do anything like that. Yeah.
Like the breaking news. That's good.
Yeah. We want to make sure we put that up there.
Here's the thing. Brian Jermaine says if you're an indie comic creator, Diamond is not your friend. Period. Well, I get that to a certain extent, but then I look at companies like Antarctic Press that produces Rags and Punchline, and both of those books I can get in my comic shop. I don't have to go to Patreon. I don't have to get them off any sort of crowdfunding. And they're in Diamond, and I really like that. You look at Sweetcast.
Antarctic Press has been around for how long?
Pardon me?
The Antarctic Press has been around for a long time.
Well, for a long time. I mean,
that's
I
why
remember
they're still
Ben
in
Dunn
Diamond.
back in the day, doing Ninja High School and Gold Digger and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But you also look at say Antarctic Press isn't in Diamond, but they have a long list of shops that they do business with. And they have their own sort of distribution and buyback program. So I'd be open to something like that as well.
Alterna, they're in Diamond.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Alterna.
They're in Diamond.
I think I thought Peter pulled out. But.
No, they're still there. They're just constantly being jabbed by him every time they turn around.
Oh, okay.
It's been an interesting, you go back and listen to Peter's podcast. It gets real interesting how many clever ways they can find to mess with him. It's pretty fascinating what they've done.
Yeah, so you look at like Clint Stroker from Sweetcast with Downcast. He's crowdfunding a book, and now he just got picked up by Alterna, which means now I can be able to go pick up, in theory, Downcast at my local shop for $2. Friggin' amazing.
Yeah, you'll have to wait a year or so, but yeah.
Antarctic Press was founded in 1984 for people listening on IndieVolt Radio. I think that if you can get the deal that works for you, you're going to have to give a little, but you get the deal that works for you, you'll be in a much happier position, and you won't piss your publisher off.
And if you're dealing with Diamond, you might need a little lube.
Well, also, Diamond's a dying beast, so it's reacting that way.
Actually, Diamond is acting a lot better from what I understand, though I haven't had any direct dealings with them in a while.
That's what I was going to say.
From what I've heard, they're being a lot more indie-friendly.
Yeah, because they're a dying beast, and they need indie now. Now they're actually being a lot gentler, I'm here. Not perfect. I still hear complaints, but they're opening doors for indie comic creators.
Well, Peter still has one problem after the next with them. But yeah, other publishers are getting through the door. So
now I have heard that some reps are not the best people in the business.
That's been a
constant. Or maybe it's a bad rep.
And there aren't that many reps left anymore.
Yeah, that's true too.
Brian says Diamond is at best a necessary evil. Yeah. I mean, although, but you got
how much is Expendables pulling down? How much is Cash Grab pulling down?
Yeah. That's true.
I think Diamond's looking at that brick wall that they're about to hit pretty hard, so they ought to be a lot friendlier.
Yeah, at this point they have to be they have to decide to start to play ball with some of these guys. Yep. Well, guys, I want to thank you all for being here with me. I don't know if you all have done this yet, but you should all consider yourselves lucky to have been listened to by 1,233 people on IndieVolt Radio multi-platform.
We love each and every one of you.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, we really appreciate that, guys. You can send in questions to indievoltlive@indievolt.com. Include IndieVolt Live in the subject. Unless it's hate mail, then you send that to I hate Rob at indievoltlive@indievolt.com. Please keep those emails, even the hate mail, to 90 words or less. Um, we really appreciate that.
Send a double email if you have more to say.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and if you say fuck twice, that stands for 2 words.
Yeah,
not just that one.
Also, guys, please check us out on IndieVolt Radio. It's on the Google Play Store on Android, and you can download the streaming app on iOS on Apple. It plays 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Indie music, news, entertainment, even this show and some other shows we have on there as well. Check that out. That's 24 hours a day, and it's free. It's 100% free. You gotta love that. While we're talking about free, IndieVolt TV, over the top streaming network, also free. Indie movies. We just added a bunch of new stuff up there. Please check that out if you have a Roku. It's coming very soon to Amazon Fire Stick. Wow, before we get out of here, I'd like you guys to tell our viewers where they can contact you. We'll start with Larry first. Larry, where can they find you?
Rebel Comics and Gaming on YouTube really is the best place. You know, I probably live stream like 3 or 4 times a week, maybe more on a good week. But you know, you can also find me on Kickstarter. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Back Niobe today. Back Niobe today. 10 days left, folks. We're on road to the last stretch goal. We need to make $7,000 Canadian, which is about $46 US, to unlock the stretch goal number 5, which will be a brand new piece of artwork done by Josh Spencer. It will be a print for everyone. We're almost there. We need your help. Subscribe to Rebel Comics and Gaming. Go to the Kickstarter and back it, and follow me, Niobe Comic, on Twitter.
I'll put that into the description after the video is over.
Appreciate that, brother.
And Rob, where can they find you, sir?
Well, if you want to find out about all things indie comic related, check out indieadvocates.com, where we have all different types of Kickstarters, including the forecast. That's right. We're going to do a forecast for the Comic-Cons today, so tune in for that. You can find my personal work at MrAnderson.com and find out what the Indie Devil is up to next. And finally, you can find me back on Kickstarter on Valentine's Day with a very different Kickstarter. This is actually about exploring human sexuality and finding out what kinks you own.
You won't find me on the Comic-Con Superhighway. I got no conventions.
Larry, I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh, you should have. You know what? You might have to go bend the knee, man.
I tried that,
Yeah.
and it wasn't good enough.
Nah.
I apologized for what happened last year. And, you know, during the whole year, they said, yeah, things will blow over. We'll work it out. You know, we're going to talk. We're going to put you on our YouTube channel, this and that. And then as soon as the day the tables go on sale and I inquire about it, I get told no.
Yeah.
So there is that.
It's as if they had it planned all along.
Yeah, and they just kind of strung me along to keep me as quiet for as long as they could.
That's what it sounds like to me, too.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. So now I'm just, you know, I'm cool. I'm not going to go to the con this year, next year, any other year. That particular con, I'm open to other cons, but not that particular con. And I'm going to feel free to speak freely about it. And the more I talk about it, the more people seem to come in back Niobe. So back Niobe today.
Yeah. Don't forget, May 2021, Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, I'm not invited to that show.
How
I run
come?
Kickstarter.
Oh, no, dude. Just swap a campaign over to Indiegogo.
Oh, that's going to happen after the Kickstarter. I'm going to double dip.
Mr.
That's what you
Zimmerman.
have to do. Because, you know, Ethan's already said, all you have to do is prove that you've made a book. And it's, depending upon the size of their haul, it's free table.
You know, I
Mr.
don't know if
Zimmerman.
you watched his show there last night, but he had this guy on named Drew Manchu. Was like debating Ethan. I used to be on live streams. I used to be on a show with Drew Manchu. So it was interesting to watch like these two worlds I used to be part of collide.
Yeah.
You know, it was
Yeah.
great television.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. That's television on YouTube. Yeah.
Right?
Mr. Zimmerman, where can they find you at?
I'm the Facebook, Twitter kind of guy, Randy Zimm. I'm also at the Zimm Geek channel on YouTube, though I haven't put anything up in a few months. I still swear that something's coming soon. Other than that, my Great Lakes Comic Con in a couple of weeks in Warren, Michigan. I'll be set up there, and then my own show here in Flint on April 18th, Saginaw on June 27th. And then after that, I think the only thing I've got scheduled is Grand Rapids, but I am available. If you want to invite me to a show, I will, if at all possible, happily attend.
Awesome. Of course, I'm Kid_V on Twitter. You can contact me on Facebook, Twitter, Varian Grant. You can also contact us at INDIEVOLT, the website, the Facebook, the YouTube, wherever you want. Just contact us. We'll be happy to answer your questions. It's been a pleasure.
If you don't get your camera fixed soon, you're going to be known as technical difficulties.
I was wondering about that. Yeah, I didn't see like the skunk cat today. I mean,
this coon skin cap.
Yeah, the what is it? The raccoon hat or something?
Yeah. Didn't have that up today, but I will. I'm gonna get my camera fixed and I'll put it back up. I'll have it working again probably by Tuesday. Thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it. Rob, Larry, thanks for coming on with us. You can catch me and Randy back again Tuesday night at 9 p.m. We will be live with INDIEVOLT Live. We got some guests, which we'll be announcing on the website, on the Facebook.
Unless we get bored before then and happen just to cut in and do a live show with someone.
Unless Rob comes back with
something huge,
some information about like a creator like hiding and getting like transitioning over to hide and stuff, then we'll come back.
Well, look, I think he could do a whole show on the hate mail that Rob is going to get.
We have already.
Yeah. We got 2 hours out of that.
And honestly, Rob, that was a really good show.
Yeah. We got 2.
That was a good show.
We got 2 hours of that. I will monetize hate on Rob.
You can always monetize hate. It's the only way to treat it.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining.
And educate. Yeah.
We
monetize and educate.
I mean, but people love drama. Checking.
Most people.
Let's check in real quick, Randy.
Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Let's check in with the forecast real quick, Randy. See how it is in the world before we go. Can we do that possibly?
What forecast?
The forecast of the world, how things are going.
Oh, wait a minute. Our special report.
Yeah.
I think we have a report here. Hang on. Let me see if I can call it up.
Right before we.
Terrible things are going on in the world right now.
Wow.
Absolutely terrible.
Real terrible. Ethan, why are you here, buddy? Tell us why you're here. Are you there?
Well, let me check in on you guys and just make sure you're okay.
Oh, yeah, we're all good. Thanks for asking.
All right, guys.
Oh, we lost him again. Where'd he go?
That's
right at the end of the broadcast.
He's got crappy internet, I hear. So
he does. He's got really crappy internet. Lucky he didn't freeze or lose his camera like technical difficulties there.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you all here Tuesday at 9 p.m. for INDIEVOLT Live, if not before. And there's, of course, Thursday morning at 9 a.m. for INDIEVOLT, the Breakfast Buzz.
Maybe on Tuesday we can answer the question, have we paid our dues?
Have you paid your dues, Jack? Yes, sir. The check is in the mail.
This has been INDIEVOLT. We will see you all back shortly. Have a great weekend. Keep reading indie comics. This has been an INDIEVOLT production. Still not owned by Disney, but we are available. See you then.
Take care, everybody. Thanks a lot for being here.
The mouse is coming. Look out.
The mouse is coming for everyone.